Today I'm watching this video. It's called How the Dutch Learned to Feed the World. Now, I believe this is going to focus on how the Netherlands produces and exports so much agricultural goods, foods, vegetables, fruits, that sort of thing. And it can be through a variety of traditional methods and also innovative farming techniques. And yeah, I've learned a little bit about that. I never really knew how much of an exporter of these types of goods Netherlands was before I started this channel, but I've been very, very impressed by how successful the Netherlands has been, how big an exporter it is. So interested to learn more about it. Tell me what you know about it. What's your biggest export? Let's learn about it with this video.
The Netherlands is a small country. It's so small you could fit it into the US 270 times.
I mean, even when you look at the comparison between somewhere like my country, Scotland, which looks bigger geographically, but just has nowhere near the innovation, the power, the success that the Netherlands does, it actually makes me very envious. And that's not even looking at the UK as a whole, that's just Scotland, like, so powerful.
But it's big when it comes to making food. Remarkably, it has the second largest agricultural exports in the world, mainly through being able to produce vast amounts of food on tiny plots. Here's how the Dutch learnt to feed the world.
I mean, that in itself, the second biggest exporter in the world of these goods, is an amazing achievement, and I feel like every other country should be looking at the Netherlands and trying to learn from it, trying to implement similar systems.
The Netherlands isn't exactly designed for mass farming. Because of limited space, farmers have learned to eke out as much as possible from the land. With a third of the country under sea level, the Dutch mastered how to make land using levees and built windmills to drain marshland to create fertile soil. This area just outside of Amsterdam, Flevopolder, is the largest artificial island in the world and didn't exist half a century ago. Nowadays, over half the ground in the Netherlands is used for agriculture. It makes more food than its people can eat. But there was a time when the Dutch faced starvation. 1944, and the Allies begin to liberate Europe. The Nazis occupy the Netherlands and begin a blockade of the north. It created a food shortage so severe the Dutch government encouraged its people to forage for acorns and chestnuts. Tens of thousands perished from famine. After the war, as the Dutch rebuilt, ensuring food security became a priority. The issue was important to the new Minister for Agriculture, Sikko Mansholt, a former farmer and a resistance fighter in the war. He'd begin to drive changes that would turn farming into big business. Before the war, Dutch farms operated like those in most other countries. Small plots had a few livestock and produced a mixture of seasonal crops to service local populations. Mansholt wanted mass production and built on a decades-long system of state support for farming.
See, that's such a great thing to do, is having people in government who actually have experience of the department or area that they're actually employed to work in. Being from the UK, you have all these different departments: education, agriculture, sports and that sort of thing. But you have the leaders at the top of that who really don't have that experience or knowledge in that sector. To see someone like this who not only did he have that experience, but he had like drive, innovation to actually, he wanted to turn it into a business. I've spoke about that for the UK. That's how things should be run. They should be run to make money and to increase the prosperity of the country. He obviously had that idea. And when you see, like, now that Netherlands is the second biggest exporter, less than 100 years ago, the position they were in, the growth has actually been tremendous.
He pursued a policy of land consolidation. Larger, more productive farms were encouraged to absorb smaller, less profitable farms. It was all about using less labour to improve yields. In 1963, the government launched a fund to help older farmers sell up and to help young farmers start new businesses. State funding into research and technology such as fertilizers and machinery followed, and thanks to aid from the US Marshall Plan, numbers of tractors rose quickly, helping farmers work more land. Dairy production grew fast as cooling tanks and milking machines were invented. In 1960, the average Dutch dairy cow would produce 4,200 kilograms of milk per year. In 2007, this had nearly doubled to 7,880 kilograms.
Whoa.
oversupply of milk wasn't a problem, the dairy board created Joris Driepinter, and he encouraged kids to drink plenty of it.
Nou, heel gewoon hè, 3 glazen melk per dag.
Is that still like an important thing that Dutch children are drinking a lot of milk? I live in Malaysia and milk is expensive because dairy farming is just it's just too difficult here, I think. So children really don't drink a lot of milk, and I don't know if that has anything to do with like the growth, and you see the height differential between Netherlands and other countries. Maybe it's because one of the reasons is because of how much milk people drink. But you still get adverts encouraging people to drink so much milk, especially now that you produce so much of it.
But technical innovation didn't stop with machines. The Dutch pioneered specialist greenhouses, creating conditions that would result in many more plantings than ever before.
These greenhouses are in the southwestern section of the Netherlands, and they enable farmers to grow crops the year round. With temperature and humidity carefully controlled, an elaborate water system keeps the crops properly moist.
If you were to put all of the Dutch greenhouses together today, they'd cover an area the size of Manhattan.
Farming under glass, another example of Dutch ingenuity.
But why do more countries not actually do this then? Is there any reason? Do most governments just focus on other areas? Do they not have that long-term thinking to actually invest in this, to actually produce more, to export it, to again increase the money coming into the country? Again, people should be looking at this and thinking, okay, we should be able to do something like this. Let's try and replicate it.
Then, a huge discovery in 1959. The vast Groningen gas field would offer greenhouse horticulture a huge boost. Farmers profited from the cheap energy as their crops benefited from the heat and the added CO2. The Netherlands now has the world's highest yields per hectare for cucumbers, chili peppers and tomatoes, all carefully picked for their profitability.
Again, things like that, actually producing certain vegetables more than others to just based on profitability. It's so intelligently strategized. I have so much admiration for this. It's so interesting as well. Tell me what you think about this.
Reducing water use is part of making efficiencies too. Today, some farms use just 4 litres to grow a kilo of glasshouse tomatoes. The global average is 214 litres.
I mean, even that, like, that differential is so much that why are these countries wasting so much or having such inefficient processes? For me, it's simple. You look at that, you say, okay, they can do it so much with so much less water or so efficiently. Let's just copy that. Does that not make sense?
All this built on a rich culture of farming that already existed. The Dutch were master breeders of plants and livestock and were a nation of traders thanks to the ports at Rotterdam and Amsterdam. The state built on this expertise to transform farming, including a focus on education and research, as part of a holistic approach to benefiting the entire industry. It hasn't all been good though. The Dutch have been criticised for getting ahead with over-intensive methods and using synthetic fertilizers to boost production. They're now working to change this. In 1999, the country used more fertilizer than any other European country, spreading on average 500 kilos per hectare. By 2014 though, that figure had more than halved.
So what is the negative of that? Does it affect the quality of the goods, or why is that a negative thing? I don't really know too much about farming, so I know the word fertilizer and how it's used to help things grow, but I don't know the negative side of it. Obviously, having reduced it by half, that's a great thing if it is a negative. But I would think with regards to like the EU and Europe having such strict quality guidelines and regulations, that the things that they actually produce would still be good. But tell me more about that.
By working together, farmers, scientists, businesses and the state turned the Netherlands into a world leader in modern farming. Its knowledge and state-of-the-art technology will be vital in tackling the future of a rising global population with billions more mouths to feed.
Well, excellent documentary. And again, like they say, with the rising population, more mouths to feed, like Netherlands is perfectly positioned to take advantage of that and really make more money and become even more prosperous. I love it. I mean, it makes me like want to like shake people in the British government and like be like, look, let's just copy this. We have a rich history in farming and agriculture, but the Netherlands just does it so efficiently. Like, it's so impressive. Tell me how it is today. Is it still like that? I know like there's been farmer protests and that sort of thing over the last couple of years in like places like Germany and France. I don't know if it was in Netherlands too, but if it was, what were those protests about? How are the government managing farming today? But tell me what you think about this, and how impressive do you think it is? Thanks.